So today we'll be talking about the most important document you need in property transaction here in Enugu State, Nigeria. Let me give you a little backstory so that you understand why this document is really, really important when it comes to property buying, property transaction in Nigeria, especially here in Enugu State. Now, when you buy, I had this person, someone reached out to me a few weeks ago that they want to sell their property. And along the conversation, I asked the man, "What is the title document of your property?" And he said, "It's receipt of payment." He has a receipt of payment. I was shocked. It was really shocking to have just a receipt of payment for your document. And in his defense, he said the person that sold the property for him was a prominent man, a friend also. And it didn't sit well with me because business is supposed to be business. Whether it's your friend, your sibling, your twin brother, business is business because anything can happen. That property can be taken away from you with in a snap because you do not have a legal ownership to that property. So it could be taken away from you anytime. Now I'm going to tell you one of the most important documents you need when it comes to property transaction here in Enugu State. I mean, there are other documents that are very necessary when it comes to property transaction, but I'm going to give you reasons why this particular document is very, very important. What is a deed of assignment? A deed of assignment is an agreement that shows the transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer. This is a way of saying I'm legally transferring the ownership of this particular property to you. When you buy a car or a house, you are given like a title, a document that shows that, oh, this is legally yours now. That is what a deed of assignment is. It shows the transfer, the legal transfer of ownership from one person, from the buyer, from the seller to the buyer. So whenever maybe any issue comes up, you have that to present and say, this is the document where the transfer of ownership was made. It makes it easy to start it. So if you're buying property from a real estate company, a developer, or even an individual, make sure you get a deed of assignment. Make sure you get a deed of assignment. Now, the deed of assignment also contains important informations like the date of transaction, the seller's information, some of the necessary informations about the seller. These things makes this title document really unique because you don't have to, go back and forth when there's a dispute. You already have a certified document that shows all the necessary information. Now, this document is really, really important because it shows the transfer of ownership. If you buy a property and you get just a receipt, it doesn't actually show that, oh, the ownership of this land has been transferred to you. Whenever there is a land dispute and you're taken to the court, the seller will win, or whomever that is dragging that property with you is going to win. But when you have a deed of assignment, you have that full assurance that you're going to win that case, number one. And you have all the necessary information pertaining that property. Now, if you get just a receipt, you don't have you don't have full access, full ownership to that land. A receipt is just showing that you paid money to this person for a particular property or a particular item or something, but it does not show that you have transferred your whole rights, the whole rights that you have or interest that you have on that property to the person that just bought that property from you. When you get a deed, it gives you access, ownership, rights, and interest of the buyer. It gives you everything. It says you are the real owner now of that property. You understand? So this is a very, very important document. So whenever you're buying a property, make sure to ask for your deed of assignment. Another reason why it's very important is this document contains information of the seller. It contains information of the seller. Now, this is why most people go away with, go away with fraud, land fraud, because when you buy a property and you're giving just a receipt of payment, that property could be resold multiple times. And when there's a dispute, you will lose your hard-earned money, you will lose every access that you have to that property because there was no legal transfer of ownership. There was no legal transfer of ownership. So you're going to lose that case. You're going to lose. This is why a lot of people win when it comes to land fraud. They get away with it because you don't have any legal evidence that this has been transferred to you. The property has been legally transferred. You are the rightful owner. You just have a receipt and it's not going to do anything for you. It's not. A lot of people, you know, do commit land frauds and get away with it because of issues like this. Imagine someone saying you bought a property with just a receipt because the person is your friend and a prominent man. It doesn't sit well. That property could be taken away from you anytime. If the person that sold that property to that man comes back tomorrow and says, I want to take my land, I did not sell this land to you, I did not give this land to you, you cannot fight. If you fight that battle, if you go to the court, you're not going to win because there is no legal transaction that shows that, oh, this is rightfully mine. I am the rightful owner of this property. You understand? So, how do you get your deed of assignment? Now, if you're buying a property from a real estate company, you have you have um you have an advantage when it comes to getting this document because the real estate company will provide your deed for you. They'll provide your deed, your rights to that property, your ownership rights to that property. They are going to provide it for you. But when you are buying from an individual or all these omorele, I don't know what they call them, all these Yoruba alaji them, all these individuals, let me just say, when you're buying from an individual, you go with a certified lawyer, draft out your deed of assignment. I think you're going to pay around 5% for a deed of assignment. You pay for it, it's not free. You pay for it and make sure that the transfer of ownership is legally done so that you don't have any issue tomorrow or in future someone come dragging the property with you and all that. So if you're buying from an individual, make sure you have a lawyer that is satisfied that will help you get your deed of assignment and every other document inclusive. I'm only sitting on deed of assignment because it is really, really important. It shows transfer of ownership. You understand? So when you're going to buy from an individual, make sure you go with a lawyer that can help you draft out your deed of assignment. Make sure you go through your deed of assignment. When you get that document, make sure you read through them. Make sure you read through all the informations on that deed of assignment to be sure that there is no mistake. And also, especially when you're buying from an individual, make sure to register that deed of assignment. Go to the Ministry of Lands in your city or in your state, register that deed of assignment. The reason why you're going to register your deed of assignment, I've talked about land search. in my previous video. You can go and watch. I've talked about it, and documents you need for your land search. The reason why you're going to register this, your deed of assignment, is so that if tomorrow someone goes to search for that property in the Ministry of Land, they get to see that you are now the legal owner of that property. And the name of the previous owner of that property will not be showing as the current owner. Your name will be showing as the current owner of that property, especially if you're buying from an individual. Make sure to go and register your deed of assignment. Go to the Ministry of Lands, register that deed of assignment, so that whenever someone wants to, or you want to resell in future, and someone wants to do a search on that property, they can see that your name is the current owner of that property and not the name of the previous owner. The reason you're doing this is because, firstly, you're lawfully required to do it based on the Land Use Act in Nigeria. You're lawfully required to do this. And also, the government require you to register your deed of assignment, and you are basically going to get a government approval on your deed. And once your deed is registered, it becomes a governor's consent. Governor consent is basically a deed of assignment that is registered. So once your deed is registered, you have simply gotten the government signatory of your state in the land transaction. And no matter what anyone does, no matter anything that comes up, any dispute that comes up about that property, you are going to win because it is legally registered in the Ministry of Land that you are the rightful owner of that property. Another reason you should register your deed of assignment is to notify the general public. Yes, like I said before, when you register your deed of assignment, whenever someone is going for a search, they get to see that you are now the current owner of that property. It is basically for you to notify the general public that you are now the legal and current owner of that property. Registering of your deed is mostly important when you're buying from an individual, or if you're buying from a real estate company, you do not have that much issue, because that is where the benefit comes in, because the real estate company, they have already done that whole job for you. They've already gone through the whole legal process for you. So you do not have the you do not have to go through the process of, going to register your deed and every other document that comes with it. All you have to do is, pay for it. They already done that for you. You just have to pay for it. Whenever you're buying from a real estate company, make sure to ask, what other payment am I making aside from, the 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 uh the price of the land. Some real estate company include the charges of this document in the price of the land, while some do not. You pay for the price of the document differently, and you pay for the price of the land differently. These are important steps to take when buying a property in Nigeria, Enugu State. This is not only the document you need when buying a property. This is just one of the most important documents. You also need a C of O, a survey plan, an irrevocable power of attorney, and a deed of assignment. You need a governance consent. You need gazette. There are so many other title documents you need when buying a property, but this is one of the most important one that you need when buying a property. In my next video, I'll be talking about various documents and what they entail. I hope I was able to help you. I'll see you in my next video when I talk about various other documents that involves land transaction here in Enugu State, Nigeria. My name is Vivian Woye Adeze, proudly known as the realtor of the East Side. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.